At the ranch, Nick gushes about his mother's lime green pantsuit before wheedling to drive the Ferrari. Victor, who's been frighteningly quiet, picks this time to ask his wife if it's true she nearly sold Chancellor to Cain Ashby in France. The mid-morning sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Newman Ranch was deceptively warm. Inside, the atmosphere was anything but. Nikki Newman stood by the mantel, her hands clutching a delicate porcelain cup she hadn't taken a sip from in 10 minutes. Her eyes were fixed on the figure pacing the room, Victor Newman, her husband, her eternal sparring partner, and, at that moment, the source of her mounting fury. "I can't believe you did this without telling me," Nikki said finally, her voice low but sharp enough to cut through the quiet. Victor stopped pacing. One eyebrow arched in that trademark way that could either disarm or infuriate. "My darling, I did what needed to be done. You may not approve of my methods, but you can't deny the results." Nikki took a deep breath, the steam from her untouched coffee curling into the air between them. "Results? Victor, you hired someone to follow our daughter. That's not results, that's surveillance. You're treating Victoria like a suspect, not your own child." Victor's expression didn't change much, but there was a flicker, a fleeting acknowledgement, that maybe, just maybe, Nikki had a point. Still, he doubled down. "Victoria has been keeping secrets. When my children start hiding things from me, I take action." Nikki set her coffee down with a decisive clink. "You take action when there's a company to save or a corporate enemy to crush, not when there's family involved. You cross lines, Victor, and you've crossed one here. Again." Victor stepped closer, his voice calm but loaded. "My family is my company. You know that better than anyone." Nikki's laugh was short and bitter. "Exactly, and that's the problem." Across town, in a very different corner of Genoa City, Daniel Romolotti Jr. sat in the Crimson Lights coffeehouse with a sketchpad in front of him, absent-mindedly doodling. The lines took shape, abstract swirls becoming a rough caricature of his daughter, Lucy, reading on the couch at home. The familiar comfort of drawing was interrupted when Christine Blair, the city's district attorney, slid into the seat across from him. Daniel glanced up, offering a polite smile. "Christine, what's up?" Christine's demeanor was all business, but there was a weight in her eyes that told Daniel this wasn't just a casual coffee chat. She leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. "Daniel, I need your help, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't serious." Daniel set his pencil down slowly. "Okay, I'm listening." Christine took a deep breath. "It's about Heather." That was enough to make Daniel's muscles tense. Heather Stevens, his ex, his co-parent, the woman who had recently returned to Genoa City in a storm of complications. What about her? Christine's gaze didn't waver. "She's involved in a case that's delicate. Too delicate for me to go into all the details right now, but the bottom line is, she needs someone she can trust to help her, and she's not willing to reach out to anyone from her current circle. You're the one person she might listen to." Daniel frowned, already sensing where this was going. "Christine, the last time Heather and I had a serious conversation, it didn't exactly end with hugs and rainbows." "I know," Christine said quickly. "And I wouldn't be asking if this wasn't important. This isn't just about her. There's someone else's future on the line, maybe even their freedom. I need you to convince her to cooperate before things spiral." Daniel leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "You're asking me to get involved in something legal and messy when Heather barely trusts me right now?" He trailed off, searching for a word strong enough. "Almost impossible." Christine allowed herself the smallest smile. "I know, but you've faced impossible before, Daniel. You've gotten through to her when no one else could. And if you don't do this, she might make a decision she can't take back." Back at the ranch, Nikki's frustration was reaching a boiling point. "So what happens when Victoria finds out what you've done?" she demanded. "She'd be furious, Victor. You think she doesn't already feel like you're watching her every move? This will push her further away." Victor sighed, a rare crack in his armor. "You underestimate her resilience. She knows I protect my family, even from themselves." Nikki shook her head. "You protect the Newman Empire, Victor. There's a difference. And if you keep this up, you're going to be the loneliest man in this mansion, because no one will trust you." Victor stepped toward her, placing a hand gently on her arm. "My darling Nikki, you know I do what I do out of love." Her voice softened, but the steel remained. "Then start showing it in a way that doesn't feel like betrayal." Meanwhile, Daniel and Christine had moved their conversation to a quieter table in the corner. "Let me guess. Daniel said, folding his arms. You can't tell me the full details of the case because it's confidential. Exactly, Christine admitted. But what I can tell you is that Heather is trying to protect someone, and in doing so, she's putting herself in legal jeopardy. If I pushed too hard, she shut me out completely. But you might get her to see reason. Daniel stared at the tabletop, the weight of the request settling on him. You're right, she might listen to me. But if she thinks for 1 second that I'm working for the DA's office, she'll never forgive me. I'm not asking you to lie to her, Christine said. Just be the bridge. Help her understand that the truth is her safest option. He looked up, meeting Christine's gaze. And if I say no? Christine hesitated, then spoke plainly. Then I'll have to proceed without you, and Heather might end up paying the price. I'm hoping you won't let that happen. That evening, Nikki retreated to the sitting room with a glass of Chardonnay, needing a moment away from the tension with Victor. She stared at the fire, wondering how many battles like this they'd survived and how many more they could endure. Her phone buzzed. It was Victoria. Nikki hesitated before answering. Mom. Victoria's voice came through, tense. I need to talk to you in person? Tonight. Nikki's pulse quickened. Is everything okay? A pause. Not exactly, but I'll explain when I get there. As Nikki hung up, a gnawing worry settled in. If Victor's surveillance had already been discovered, they were about to have a Newman-sized explosion on their hands. Across town, Daniel sat at his kitchen table, staring at his phone. He'd typed Heather's number into a new message 3 times, deleted it, and started again. Finally, he hit send. Hey, can we talk? It's important. He didn't mention Christine. He didn't mention the case. Just an open door. When Heather replied 10 minutes later with a cautious about what? Daniel knew the hard part hadn't even started yet. By nightfall, the Newman ranch was cloaked in shadows, the firelight casting an amber glow in the main room. Victoria arrived, her coat still on, her eyes locked on Nikki's. I know what Dad did, she said without preamble. And I want to hear from you. Did you know about it? Nikki shook her head. I found out this morning. And I'm furious. Victoria exhaled, her shoulders tightening. Good, because I'm not letting him control me like this. If he wants a war, I'll give him one. Before Nikki could respond, Victor entered the room, his timing almost theatrical. A war? Really, Victoria? Over a little precaution. Victoria turned to face him, her voice steady but laced with anger. You don't get to decide when I'm being precautionary. Dad, you invaded my privacy, you crossed a line. And I'm not just going to let it slide this time. Victor's eyes narrowed, but his voice stayed calm. Then perhaps you should remember that everything I do to protect my family. Victoria didn't flinch. No, you do it to control us, and I'm done letting it work. In another part of town, Daniel finally met Heather at society. The air between them was taut, filled with the unspoken history of love, resentment, and everything in between. So what's this about? Heather asked, stirring her drink without looking up. Daniel took a deep breath. It's about you, and a choice you're about to make that could change everything. Her eyes flicked up, wary. Who told you that? I can't tell you that, Daniel admitted, but I can tell you that whatever you're thinking of doing, you need to stop and think about the fallout. Heather's gaze hardened. If this is coming from Christine, it's coming from me, Daniel interrupted. Because I don't want to see you get hurt. Or worse. For a moment, the wall between them wavered. Then Heather sighed, leaning back. You don't know the whole story. Then tell me, Daniel said quietly. Because I'm here. And I'm listening. By the end of the night, both the Newman and Romalotti worlds were teetering on the edge of decisions. That could change everything. Nikki sat alone in the dark, wondering if she could keep the family from fracturing further. Daniel walked Heather to her car, uncertain if he'd reached her but knowing he had to try. And somewhere, Victor Newman sipped his brandy, the faintest of smiles playing on his lips, as if every move, every confrontation, was just another step in the game he always intended to win. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Update World 24 YouTube channel for more update news.